If you have ever opened a rideshare app late at night, watched the little car icon glide towards you, and felt that brief relief of, good, I'm not alone out here, you have already handed your safety to a system you do not understand. Most people think rideshares are simple. A driver, a route, a few minutes of small talk, and a drop-off at your door. A modern convenience, a clean transaction, a receipt in your inbox. But that is not what the app is. The app is a set of rules. A moving pin, a digital leash that decides where you are, who can reach you, and whether you are allowed to leave. It knows your name before a stranger does. It knows your address better than your friends. It tracks the rhythm of your routines, your late nights, your lonely walks to the curb. And once you press confirm, it does not just send a car, it marks you. Most people worry about bad drivers, about creepy conversation, about taking the wrong turn. They do not think about the rides that never end, the pickups that arrive with no car, the shared trips where the other passenger is already inside. They do not picture an app that refuses to unlock the doors until you give it 5 stars, or a route that only appears after midnight when street names vanish and the map stops matching the ground. Because after a certain hour, the city changes. The same streets, the same lights, the same intersections, but something underneath them wakes up. Something that uses the app like a mouth, a camera, a hand on the back of your neck. A driver who keeps circling your block, profile photo changing every time you look, waiting for you to get back in. A pickup pin that sits directly on your body, while the driver describes what is behind you even when you are alone. A back seat that breathes softly, while the app insists you do not acknowledge other riders. A locked door and a polite voice that says 5 stars required, like your freedom is a rating and your fear is a feature. And a glowing route that doesn't exist in daylight, leading you somewhere the ETA refuses to name. Tonight, we are not talking about ghosts in old houses or monsters in the woods. We are talking about the kind of horror that hides in plain sight, inside the same technology you use to stay safe. So check your plate twice, keep your back to the wall, and do not trust the map just because it is glowing. Because once your ride begins, you are not always the passenger. Sometimes, you are the destination. These are 5 rideshare encounters we were never meant to complete. Turn your lights off, turn your phone face down, and if your app ever says, your driver has arrived, but the street outside is empty, do not step to the curb. Story 1. The driver who never ended the ride. The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the quiet of the car. The driver had the radio on low, some late night station bleeding soft synth and murmured ads. I mean the silence after. The kind that's supposed to follow you into your apartment when you finally close the door, kick off your shoes, and let the day die. But when I stepped into my living room, it was like the ride hadn't ended. Like some invisible thread was still wrapped around my wrist, tugging. My phone buzzed in my palm before I could set my keys down. A single vibration, short and polite. The rideshare app had opened by itself. The screen was bright in the dim apartment, harsh enough to make my eyes sting. At the top, it read, "Trip in progress." My stomach gave a small, confused twist that had to be a glitch. I stared at it, waiting for it to correct itself. Sometimes apps lag. Sometimes they freeze. Sometimes you get those weird phantom notifications that mean nothing. I told myself it was the kind of harmless bug you laugh about later, but the map was moving. A little car icon was circling my block, slow and methodical, like it was pacing, like it wasn't lost, just waiting. The driver's name was still there. The fare counter was still ticking, adding cents in a steady rhythm. My thumb hovered over the end ride button, except there wasn't one. There never is. That's the whole point. You get out, you close the door, the driver swipes something on their end, and the world moves on. Only it hadn't. I backed up until my knees bumped the couch. I sat without meaning to, phone held close like it might bite. I tapped help. A list appeared, clean and cheerful, the same tone all apps use when they're pretending they can't feel your pulse through the screen. Trip issues, payment issues, safety issues. I selected trip issues. Then my driver didn't end my ride. The app spun for a moment. Then it said, "We're looking into it." Below that, smaller text appeared, like a footnote. "If you feel unsafe, call emergency services." My throat tightened. I wasn't unsafe. I was in my apartment. The chain was on the door. The windows were locked. I had neighbors on both sides. The world was normal. except the car icon kept circling. I watched it complete another loop. The map showed streetlights like tiny amber beads. The icon moved past my building, continued, turned a corner, came back. A loop, a routine. My phone buzzed again, a message. Not from the driver, from the app itself. Your driver is still nearby. I swallowed. In the ride, the driver had been quiet, middle-aged, maybe. Clean car. Polite nod when I got in. No weird energy. No lingering looks in the mirror. Just another face in the endless rotation of late-night drivers. I barely remembered him. That was what scared me the most. That my memory had already filed him away as harmless. I tapped the driver profile. The photo loaded. Or tried to. It flickered for a fraction of a second. The way a video buffers when it can't decide what frame to show you. The face on the profile picture was not the face I remembered. The driver in the photo was younger, with a neat beard and tired eyes. The smile looked practiced, like it had been copied from 100 other profile photos. Maybe the app had glitched and pulled up the wrong driver. I hit back, then opened it again. The photo changed. Now the driver was older, heavier, hairline pushed back, eyes too bright. Same name, same rating, same car details listed underneath. I felt my skin tighten on my arms. I opened it a third time. Different face again. Not dramatically different, not like a costume, more like the same person being re-rendered by a machine that couldn't quite remember the original. Each time I opened it, the face drifted. The eyes shifted slightly. The smile moved a fraction, like a painting being corrected over and over. I locked my phone and tossed it on the couch, as if that could stop it. It buzzed immediately, like it didn't appreciate being ignored. I stared at it, then picked it up again with shaking fingers. The app had opened again. The map had zoomed closer. The car icon was no longer circling the block. It was stopped, directly in front of my building. I held my breath. The app displayed. Driver arrived. Arrived where? My eyes slid to the window. My blinds were half open, enough to let in a sliver of streetlight. The glass reflected my living room, my face pale, my phone a bright rectangle. Outside, the street was quiet. Parked cars lined the curb, dark shapes sleeping under the lamps. Then I saw it. Headlights. Not on, just the faint reflection of something sitting under a streetlight. A car pulled close to the curb, engine off, not moving. So still it looked abandoned. I couldn't tell what make it was from the angle. I couldn't see the driver, but my phone buzzed again. A new message from the driver. I can't end it. I stared at the words, heat rising up my neck. I typed back before my common sense could catch up. I'm already out. Can you please end the ride on your end? The typing bubble appeared immediately, like the driver had been waiting with their fingers poised. No trip is active. A second message followed. Support says no trip started. I felt dizzy. The app clearly showed a trip in progress. A route. A timestamp. The fare ticking like a heartbeat. I tapped the trip details. It displayed a pickup location, my office, a drop-off location, my home, a time. Everything looked normal, except the little line that usually says completed was missing. As if the ride existed in a suspended state, neither started nor ended. A door stuck half open. I tried support again, this time selecting safety issues. A chat window opened. A generic name appeared. Agent. Maya. How can I help you today? I typed fast. My trip is still in progress. The driver says it doesn't exist. The car's outside my building. The profile photo keeps changing. The agent took a moment, then replied, I'm sorry you're experiencing this. I've checked your account, and I do not see an active trip. My fingers went numb. I typed again. It's on my screen right now. The fare is still running. I understand. I'm not seeing it on our end. Have you tried closing the app and reopening it? I stared at the message until my vision blurred. Closing the app felt like turning off a flashlight in a dark room. A child's solution. But I did it anyway. I swiped it away. I restarted my phone. The screen went black, then bright again. The minute my phone powered back on, the Rideshare app opened without me touching it. Same trip. Same moving map. Same car icon. Still outside. The driver profile photo now showed a woman. Not just slightly different. Completely different. A woman with long hair, pulled back tight, smiling wide, eyes too still, same driver name, same rating. I felt bile rise in my throat. I turned the phone face down on the table, as if it were a living thing that needed to be blinded. Then I heard something outside. A soft sound, like a car door closing. I froze. The building hallway was silent. My neighbor's TV murmured faintly through the wall. Everything else felt sharpened. I moved slowly to the window and nudged the blind open a fraction. The car was still there, but now a person stood beside it, under the streetlight, just a silhouette at first, tall, shoulders squared, head tilted slightly upward, as if they were looking at the building, my floor, my window. I pulled the blind shut with a small shaking jerk, heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my teeth. My phone buzzed again on the table. I didn't want to look, but I did. A new driver message. Please confirm you are inside. The words made my skin crawl. I didn't respond. The typing bubble appeared anyway, as if the app didn't need my input to continue a conversation. We can't finish until you confirm. I backed away from the table, phone still buzzing in my peripheral vision. The trip fare ticked higher. $1, $2, $3. I didn't care about money anymore. I cared about the invisible contract the app was trying to keep alive. I opened the chat with support again, fingers trembling. Maya, the driver, is outside my building. The response came quickly. I'm sorry. I do not see any driver assigned to you. My throat tightened. Then who is messaging me? There was a pause. Then the agent sent, we recommend you do not engage and ensure your safety. Not engage. As if the app itself wasn't forcing engagement by opening itself on my phone like a compulsion. I thought about calling the police. I thought about trying to explain, to say, my rideshare app says a driver is outside, and hearing the flat pause on the other end, the disbelief. I thought about how small and silly it would sound. Then my phone chimed, not a buzz this time, a notification sound I didn't recognize. On the screen, a new prompt appeared, covering the map. Verify passenger. Under it, a single button, confirm. I didn't press it. The button pulsed faintly, mint-cyan, like it was breathing. Under the button, smaller text. If you do not confirm, the ride will remain active. I stared at it until my eyes watered. That was the trap. Confirm, and you participate. You agree to whatever this is. Don't confirm, and it never ends. The car stays outside. The fare climbs. The app keeps opening. My hand shook as I set the phone down again. And then, from the hallway outside my apartment, I heard a sound that made every muscle in my body lock. Footsteps, slow, measured. Not my neighbor's casual shuffle. Not someone carrying groceries. These were careful steps, paced like counting. They stopped outside my door. My throat went tight. I didn't breathe. The chain on my door suddenly felt like a joke. On the table, my phone buzzed again. The screen lit, showing the trip map. The car icon moved. Not on the street outside, on the hallway. It wasn't possible, but the map pin shifted as if the app was tracking the driver inside the building. The icon moved in tiny increments, matching the steps I could hear beyond the door. My stomach dropped. The driver's profile photo flickered again. Now it was a face that looked too close, like it had been taken inches from the camera. The eyes were wrong, slightly mismatched, like the app couldn't decide where they belonged. The smile was too wide. The name remained the same. I backed away until I hit the kitchen counter. My hands searched blindly for something. Anything. A weapon, a phone charger, a bottle, my keys, anything. The footsteps lingered. Then a soft tap sounded at my door. Not a knock. A tap. Polite. Patient. My phone buzzed. A new message. I'm here. My vision swam. I didn't respond. Another tap. Then the lock on my door clicked. Not turning fully, not opening. Just a subtle mechanical sound, like someone testing it, learning it. My stomach flipped. On my phone screen, the prompt still pulsed. Verify passenger. I realized with cold clarity that the app wasn't asking me to confirm I was inside. It was asking me to confirm I belonged to the ride, to confirm I was still the passenger, to confirm I was still theirs. My mouth went dry. The tapping stopped. A pause. Then the footsteps moved away, down the hall, slow and unhurried. I didn't relax. I didn't dare. I stood in the kitchen listening until I couldn't hear them anymore. My phone buzzed again. The app had zoomed out on the map. The car icon was back on the street, still outside, still waiting. And the driver profile photo changed again. Now was my face. Not a selfie, not a clean, flattering image. A photo of me standing in my kitchen, pale and terrified, taken from an angle slightly above and to the left. An angle that could only exist if someone was inside my apartment with me. I made a sound like air leaving my lungs. The screen displayed one more line beneath the photo. Passenger verified. The confirmation button was gone, the trip timer kept running, and below it, in small, friendly letters like the app was trying to help, it said, "Enjoy your ride." Story 2. Your driver has arrived, but there's no car. The first notification came while I was still inside the bar. It buzzed against my palm like a nervous pulse. Your driver has arrived. I glanced up through the front window, expecting to see headlights pulling into the curb. The street outside was empty except for a damp shimmer of reflected neon and the occasional car hissing past in the rain. The glass was fogged from the warmth inside, the city beyond it smeared into teal and amber streaks. No car. I checked the app again, thumb swiping with the familiar impatience of someone who just wanted to go home. The map zoomed in on my pickup pin. The little car icon was right on top of it, not nearby, not circling. Directly on the pin, like it was sitting in the exact space my body occupied. A shiver ran up my arms. I stepped closer to the door and pushed it open enough to let the cold, wet air slap my face. The sidewalk glistened under streetlights. The gutters trickled. A bus stop sign swayed slightly in the wind. Still no car. My phone buzzed again. Your driver has arrived. The same message, as if it didn't trust me the first time. I tapped the driver details. The name loaded. A common name. Harmless. The car listed was a black sedan. The license plate was there, but it was blurred by the app's privacy filter. The profile picture was a blank gray silhouette, the default placeholder. No photo, no details, just stars and an ETA that had already reached 0. I looked around the street again, scanning for movement. A car idled at the far end of the block, but it didn't match the shape on the app. It was too large. It was facing the wrong way, and it was far enough away that the rain and darkness swallowed its details. I stepped out under the awning to keep dry, then walked to the exact spot the pin showed. The app showed the car overlapping my location so precisely that the icon covered the little blue dot that represented me, like the app couldn't distinguish between the driver and the passenger. My phone buzzed again. A message from the driver. "I can see you." My breath caught. I typed before I could stop myself. "I don't see your car. Where are you?" The typing bubble appeared, then vanished, then returned, like the response was being rewritten in real time. Right there. The message landed like a fingertip touching the back of my neck. I looked up sharply, scanning the street, the doorways, the shadows between parked cars. I didn't see anyone, but I felt the weight of being observed, the kind of pressure you can't explain without sounding ridiculous. The city was full of people, full of windows, full of cameras and reflections. Any of them could be watching. My phone buzzed again. "You're wearing a dark jacket." I froze. That was true. Most people wear dark jackets at night, but the specificity was still a cold splash. Then another message. "Your hair is damp." I hadn't noticed until that moment that the rain had misted my bangs. I touched my forehead without thinking, fingers trembling. Another message arrived instantly, as if the driver was narrating my movements. "You just touched your forehead." My stomach dropped. I stepped back toward the bar door. The warmth inside suddenly felt like safety, like a barrier between me and whatever was out here. The driver messaged again, "Don't go back inside." I stared at those words. I did go back inside. I pushed through the door and let it swing shut behind me. Noise and light hit me at once. Laughter, glass clinking, music. I leaned against the wall like I'd just climbed out of deep water. My friend Mira was still at our table, finishing her drink. She looked up, brows lifting. "Thought you were leaving," she said. "I am," I whispered, voice dry. "Something's weird with my ride." She frowned, cancel, and request another. I nodded, though the idea of doing anything inside the app made my skin crawl now. I walked to the corner by the bathrooms where the light was dimmer, opened the app, and hit cancel. A warning popped up. "Cancel fee may apply." I didn't care. I hit confirm. The screen spun, then returned to the map. Trip canceled. For a half second, relief loosened my chest. Then the app buzzed. "Your driver has arrived." A new driver name appeared. New car details. New stars. The car icon was still directly on top of my blue dot. I blinked hard, convinced my eyes were wrong. The driver profile photo was still blank. The driver message box at the bottom already had a notification. One unread message. I tapped it. I can see you. The same words. My throat tightened. It hadn't started over. It had continued. Like the ride didn't belong to a single driver at all. Like it belonged to the pickup point. To me, I showed Mira the screen, keeping my hand steady enough for her to read. Her expression shifted from casual curiosity to confusion, then to something sharper. "That's creepy," she said. "Maybe a prank? Like a spoofed account?" "I don't know," I said. "Look, the driver's here, but there's no car." Mira leaned closer. "The icon is on you." "Yeah," I whispered. "Like I'm the car." She laughed once, but it came out brittle. "Okay, delete the request. Don't go outside. I'll walk you to your car." "I didn't drive," I said. "That's why I called." Mira's mouth tightened. "Then we'll get you a normal one. Together." I tried canceling again. The app refused. A new message appeared in the center of the screen, overlaying the map like a system pop-up. "Pickup in progress. Do not change location." Under it was a single button. Okay, no cancel, no help, just acknowledgement. I felt heat rise in my face. That's not normal. Mira's eyes flicked to the door, then back to my phone. "It's probably bugging. Close the app." I closed it. The second my thumb swiped it away, it reopened, not slowly. Not like I tapped it by accident. Instantly. The map was already loaded, already locked onto my dot, already showing the same car icon on top of me like a shadow. My phone buzzed again. A message. "You're inside now." My chest tightened. I looked around the bar, suddenly aware of every stranger, every person on their phone, every reflective surface. The message continued, near the bathrooms. My legs went weak. I lowered my phone and stared at the tiled hallway leading to the restrooms. People passed through it casually, laughing, weaving around each other. Mira grabbed my elbow. "Hey, look at me. Are you okay?" I swallowed. "It knows where I am." She stared. "How?" I showed her the messages. Her face drained. Another message came. "The man in the gray hoodie just walked past you." I glanced up. A man in a gray hoodie was indeed walking past, head down, carrying a beer. The message was accurate. Not predictive, not vague. Accurate. Mira's voice dropped to a whisper. "We should leave through the back." The bar had a side exit that opened into a narrow alley, the kind of alley that smelled like wet cardboard and spilled liquor. Normally I'd hate it. Tonight, I would have walked into anything if it meant getting away from the front door. Mira pulled me toward the kitchen corridor. The staff barely looked at us as we slipped past. The back door was propped for deliveries. Cold air rushed in, smelling like rain and garbage. We stepped into the alley. The city's sound changed here. The music from the bar became muffled. The street noise became distant. The alley was a long, dark throat lined with dumpsters and brick walls slick with water. Mira held her phone up like a flashlight, though the light barely cut the darkness. My phone buzzed again. A message. Wrong way. Mira stopped. "What?" I showed her. She frowned. "How does it know where we're going?" Another message appeared, and it felt like a hand closing around my spine. "You're holding your phone too high. People can see your screen." I lowered it immediately, stomach turning. Then the app sent another system-style notification. "Your driver has arrived." I looked up the alley mouth toward the street. There was still no car. But there was something else now, at the far end where the alley opened into another road. A person standing under a streetlight, still, centered, like they had been placed there. They weren't close enough to see details. Just a figure, hands in pockets, head angled slightly toward us. Mira whispered, "Do you see that?" I nodded. The figure didn't move. The rain fell around them in faint silver lines. My phone buzzed again. "That's not your driver." My throat tightened. "What?" Another message followed. "Your driver is closer." The alley suddenly felt too narrow, too enclosed, brick walls drawing in. Mira grabbed my wrist and pulled me back toward the bar door. But when she tugged it, the door didn't open. It was locked. The delivery prop had been removed, somehow, silently. Mira cursed under her breath and yanked again. Nothing. My phone buzzed. A message. "Good. Stay where you are." My breath came fast, shallow. Mira pulled out her own phone. "I'm calling a real cab. Screw this." She opened a rideshare app too, a different one, and typed fast. The screen on her phone blinked. Then the same kind of message appeared, the exact same wording. Your driver has arrived. Mira stared at her phone like it had betrayed her. No, she whispered. No, no. My phone buzzed again, like it was pleased. Thank you for bringing a friend. The sentence made my stomach drop straight through me. Mira backed away from the locked door, eyes wide. This isn't funny. The figure at the end of the alley shifted slightly, like a person adjusting their stance. Then, from somewhere behind us, deeper in the alley, a different sound emerged. A soft engine idle. We both turned slowly. Halfway down the alley, a car sat with its headlights off, so dark it looked like a hole cut out of the night. The only thing visible was the faint reflection of streetlight along its hood, and the dim red glow of its brake lights. I hadn't heard it pull in. It was just there. Mira whispered, "That's the car." I couldn't see the driver through the windshield. The glass was too dark, rain streaking it. My phone buzzed. Enter vehicle to begin trip. I shook my head. No. The app responded instantly, as if it had been waiting for resistance. Pickup in progress. Do not refuse. Mira grabbed my arm. We're not getting in. The car's rear passenger door clicked. Unlocked. It opened slightly. Just an inch. Like an invitation. The air in the alley felt colder. The rain felt heavier. The darkness inside the car looked too deep. Not like a normal interior. More like an empty space that swallowed light. My phone buzzed again. A message. You're standing beside the blue dumpster. I glanced to my left. We were. My heart hammered. The message continued. Your friend is holding her phone with both hands. She's shaking. Mira's breath hitched. How does it know that? Another message arrived. The words hit harder because they were so mundane. Your left shoelace is untied. I looked down. It was. I hadn't tied it properly earlier. My skin prickled all over. The way it knew these tiny details felt intimate, like fingers moving through my belongings, like breath in my ear. Then a new driver message appeared, separate from the system prompts. Open the door wider. Mira raised her voice, sharp. No, we're not doing that. Leave us alone. The moment she spoke, my app screen changed. The driver name at the top refreshed. New name, new car details. Same blank profile photo, same car in front of us, same trip. It had been passed again. Like the driver wasn't a person. Like it was a role. A mask. My phone buzzed, and the message came from the new driver, in the same exact words as before. Open the door wider. Mira whispered, It's not a driver. It's the pickup. The thought snapped something in me, cold and clear. The app wasn't sending a car to me. It was marking me. It had placed the pickup pin on my body, and now whatever lived behind that interface was trying to complete the transaction, to collect. My phone screen flashed a new prompt, bright and centered. Verify passenger. Under it, a single button. Confirm. Mira's eyes darted. Don't press it. I nodded. The button pulsed softly, mid-cyan, like a heartbeat. Above it, the map zoomed in closer and closer until the street grid dissolved, and all that remained was my blue dot and the car icon layered directly over it, two symbols occupying the same space. My stomach twisted. The car door in front of us creaked open another inch. No one touched it. From the alley mouth, the figure under the streetlight began to walk toward us, slow and steady. Not running, not rushing, just approaching like time belonged to them. Mira grabbed my hand. We can't stay in the alley. We need light, people. We turned, looking for any escape route. The locked bar door behind us, the shadowed car in front of us. The approaching figure behind the car, closing distance, and then another sound, soft but unmistakable, came from the car itself. A phone notification chime from inside the back seat. My throat tightened. My phone buzzed at the same time. A message. Your driver's already inside. I couldn't breathe. Mira's grip tightened until it hurt. Then the app displayed one final line in small, friendly font, the kind of language meant to soothe. Please remain still for accurate pickup. The car door swung open wider, smooth and patient, like a hand holding it for us. And from the darkness inside, a voice spoke softly, as if right beside my ear. It said my name. Not mispronounced, not guessed. Perfect. Mira's breath caught. Don't look. But my body wanted to. Every nerve demanded that I turn, that I confirm, that I understand what was inside that car. My phone screen pulsed once more. Confirm, and the car icon on the map pressed down on my blue dot like it was trying to merge with it, to become it. I squeezed my eyes shut and stepped back, dragging Mira with me. "Run," I whispered. We ran. Not down the alley, not toward the streetlight figure. We ran straight into the rain toward the nearest open light, the nearest place with witnesses, the nearest corner store that still had people inside. Behind us, my phone kept buzzing, buzzing, like an insect trapped under glass. And over the sound of rain and my own panicked breathing, I heard the gentle chime again. The same notification. Your driver has arrived. As if no matter where I went, the pickup pin would stay on me. As if the ride had never been meant to start, only to collect. Story 3. Shared Ride. I chose the shared option because it was cheaper, and because I was tired enough to think saving a few dollars was worth the inconvenience. It was one of those nights where the city felt like it had been wrung out and left damp. The air smelled like rain, even though the sky wasn't doing anything, just hanging low and heavy. Streetlights bled amber into puddles. My shoes made soft, wet sounds on the sidewalk as I walked to the pickup point outside my building. My phone screen glowed against my palm like a small artificial heartbeat. I requested the ride. The app offered the familiar choices: private, comfort, shared. The shared fare was almost half the price. I tapped it. A little message appeared under the selection, cheerful and neutral. You may be matched with another rider. I barely read it. I had done this before, months ago, back when shared rides were still common, and not everyone seemed to treat strangers like hazards. It had been fine then. A brief awkward silence shared with someone on their phone, the kind of human proximity you forget instantly. Tonight, I just wanted to get home. The app spun for a moment. Then it matched me. Driver name, car model, license plate partial, ETA, all the usual. Then a second line appeared beneath the driver details. Another rider is joining your trip. A small icon of a person appeared next to the line. The rider's name was blurred. Privacy feature, but the initial was visible. I watched the map. The car icon moved toward me in steady increments. The route line was smooth and confident. My pickup pin hovered on the curb. And then, before the car even arrived, the app sent a notification that made my stomach tighten for no logical reason. Your co-rider is already inside. I blinked. Already inside? That didn't make sense. The driver was still 2 minutes away. No one could be inside a car that hadn't arrived. I tapped the notification. It opened the trip screen and showed a little label near the car icon, one rider on board. Maybe the driver had picked them up first. That would explain it. But if the driver had already picked up the other rider, why was the car still coming directly to my pickup point, as if from nowhere? The car icon didn't seem to be moving from another location. It seemed to have spawned too close, like it had always been on this street. I shook it off. The car pulled up quietly, headlights sliding across the curb. A dark sedan, clean, modern. No decals, no bright branding, just a car. The driver rolled down the window. He looked tired, not sinister. Middle-aged, maybe late 30s or early 40s. Eyes shadowed, jaw tight, like someone who'd been working too long. "You," he said, not asking, just confirming. I nodded and pulled the rear door handle. The door opened. The interior smelled faintly of air freshener and old fabric, a mix of clean and lived in. The back seat looked empty. Empty. I paused, still holding the handle. The app notification flashed again in my mind. Your co-rider is already inside. I leaned in slightly. The back seat was empty. No legs, no bag, no jacket draped across the middle. Nothing. Only the faint indentation of someone having sat there recently, the fabric slightly creased. I climbed in anyway. The moment I sat down, my phone buzzed. Please do not change seats during shared rides. I frowned. I hadn't changed seats. I had just gotten in. I looked around the car interior more carefully. There was a small camera mounted near the rearview mirror, angled toward the back seats. That wasn't unusual. Some drivers had them for safety. But this one wasn't a dash cam. It was positioned to watch the passengers, and the little red indicator light beside it was off, or at least it looked off. The driver pulled away from the curb with smooth, practiced motion. I buckled my seatbelt. The click, loud, in the quiet car. And then I heard it. A second click. Behind me. Soft. Delayed. Like an echo. My breath caught. The sound had come from the other side of the back seat. The seatbelt buckle. The exact sound my belt had just made. I froze with my hand still near my lap. The driver didn't react. His eyes stayed on the road. His hands stayed at 10 and 2. Maybe it was my belt retracting. Maybe it was something shifting in the seat. I told myself anything that would keep my skin from crawling. My phone buzzed again. Shared ride rule. Do not acknowledge other riders. I stared at the screen. That was not normal. Rideshare apps didn't send rules like that. They sent prompts about masks, about being polite, about verifying plates. Not that. I looked up at the rearview mirror. The driver's eyes met mine for a split second, then slid away. His face remained neutral, but something about the brief glance felt like a warning, like he was checking whether I had read the rule. I swallowed. The city slid past outside, blurred by rain residue on the windows. Amber streetlights, dark storefronts, occasional bursts of teal from signs. The car was too quiet. Not the normal quiet of two strangers avoiding conversation, but a heavy quiet, like the sound had been pressed down. I tried to focus on normal details. The driver had a worn jacket, a coffee cup in the cup holder, a faint scrape on the dashboard. Normal. Then my phone buzzed again, and the normal fractured. Next pickup. In 2 minutes. So there was another pickup, even though the app said my co-rider was already on board. The map showed a pin 2 blocks away. As the car approached, the app displayed the co-rider icon again, that little faceless person symbol, and it pulsed softly like it was alive. We pulled up to the curb at the new pickup spot, a quiet corner under a streetlight. No one standing there, no one waiting with a phone out, no one waving, no one approaching. The driver put the car in park anyway. He waited. 30 seconds. A minute. The app didn't cancel the pickup. It didn't display the usual, rider is not responding. It just waited. My phone buzzed. Co-rider pickup complete. Complete? My chest tightened. The driver shifted the car into drive and pulled away. Still no one had entered. No door had opened. No footsteps. Nothing. And yet, as we drove, I heard it again. A soft breath. Not mine. A slow inhale, faintly wet, like it passed through teeth. It came from behind my right shoulder, from the empty seat. My whole body went cold. I kept my eyes forward, staring at the back of the passenger seat like if I didn't move, the world would stay stable. My phone buzzed again. Do not look directly at other riders. The screen glowed in my lap. The words felt like they had weight. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to tell myself it was an absurd glitch, some messed up marketing message, an Easter egg, anything. But my throat was too tight for laughter. The driver's phone, mounted near the dash, chirped softly. He didn't look at it. He didn't speak. The car turned onto a darker street, fewer lights, the buildings taller, shadows thicker. The map on my phone showed our route, a glowing line. Then, for a brief moment, the route line flickered, like a screen glitch. The blue line turned pale, then blank, then returned. During that flicker, the map showed something that made my stomach drop. 2 passenger icons in the back seat. One was me. The other was directly behind me, overlapping my icon the way the driver icon had overlapped pickup pins, like it was sitting inside my space. My hand trembled. I lowered the phone quickly. The driver spoke for the first time, voice low. "Don't," he said. Just that. I didn't ask what he meant because I knew. He meant don't look, don't question, don't acknowledge the thing the app insisted was real. The car interior felt colder suddenly, like the heat had been turned down. I rubbed my arms, trying to look casual, trying to look like I wasn't scared. Another soft sound came from the seat beside me, the faint squeak of leather shifting under weight, a presence adjusting itself. Then, close to my ear, a whisper brushed the air. It wasn't words. It was the shape of words, breath shaped into language but not fully formed. Like someone learning how to speak by copying what they hear, my heart hammered. I stared out the window, watching the city smear into fog and light. In the glass, I could see my own reflection faintly, pale and wide-eyed. And behind my reflection, I saw something else. Not a clear face, just a darker patch in the darkness, slightly too tall, slightly too close, as if someone sat behind me but refused to fully appear. The The interior camera near the mirror blinked on. A tiny red dot. The app buzzed instantly. Interior camera active. For your safety. The moment the red light came on, the reflection behind me blurred. Not naturally, but like a phone camera smearing motion. Like the car itself was censoring the thing in the seat. I swallowed hard. The driver's jaw tightened. His hands gripped the wheel a little harder. We approached an underpass where the streetlight died completely for a few seconds. Darkness swallowed the car. The hum of tires on a wet road became louder. My breath sounded too big. In that darkness, the seatbelt beside me clicked again, a gentle sound. Then, slowly, I felt something brush the back of my seat. Not a bump, a drag, like fingers trailing lightly along fabric. I clenched my jaw until it hurt. My phone buzzed, the screen lighting up the dark like a small flare. Shared ride rule, do not respond if addressed. I swallowed, and then it happened. A voice spoke from the seat behind me, soft, clear, close. It said my name, not shouted, not asked, stated, like confirmation. My blood went cold. I hadn't said my name in the car. I hadn't spoken at all. The app knew my name, sure, but hearing it spoken behind me in a stranger's voice made the world feel thin, like something was peeling away. The driver whispered, barely moving his lips. "Don't," he said again, voice strained now, like he was fighting not to look in the mirror. My hands shook in my lap. The voice behind me spoke again, a little slower. "Are you comfortable?" The words came out wrong, stretched, like each syllable had to be assembled. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the door open and roll into the street, but we were under an overpass, surrounded by concrete, cars humming past, nowhere safe to land. My phone buzzed. A new message overlay appeared, different from the rules. It looked like a system prompt. The ride is shared. Courtesy requires acknowledgement. Below it, a single button. Respond. My stomach twisted. The rules said don't respond. The system prompt demanded I respond. Contradictory instructions. A perfect trap. The button pulsed softly. The interior camera red light blinked faster. The driver's breathing changed. Shallow and quick. Like he could feel the trap too. I stared at the button until my eyes watered. The voice behind me whispered, almost tender, "Please." The word was too human. It made my skin crawl. I squeezed my eyes shut and did nothing. The button pulsed. The voice repeated my name. Closer. Then I felt a slight pressure on my shoulder, like a hand resting there, gentle and heavy at the same time. The air smelled suddenly like damp wool and old pennies. My stomach lurched. The driver's voice cut through, sharp now, louder than before. "Stop," he said, not to me, to the back seat. For the first time, he turned his head slightly, eyes flicking toward the rearview mirror. The interior camera light blinked. The app flashed red. Driver violation. Acknowledgement detected. The car swerved slightly. The driver cursed under his breath. And then, the map on my phone changed. The route line vanished. The streets went blank. No labels, no names. Just a dark grid and a single glowing line stretching forward like a vein. At the top of the screen where the ETA should be, it read, N. My throat tightened. The driver swallowed hard. "Hold on," he whispered, and the words sounded like a prayer. The city outside changed. Not instantly, but gradually. Like the lights grew farther apart. Like the buildings became less familiar. Like the streets forgot their names. Street signs blurred in my peripheral vision. Letters smearing as if they didn't want to be read. The underpass gave way to a stretch of road bordered by trees, too dark, too quiet for where we should have been. And the whole time, the presence behind me breathed steadily, like it was satisfied. My phone buzzed again. A final rule appeared, larger than the others, centered on the screen. Shared ride rule. The ride is not over until both passengers are delivered. I stared at it, numb, because the app still showed my co-rider icon on board, still inside, still overlapping me. And deep in my bones, I understood something that made me feel hollow. The other rider wasn't going to be dropped off. Not somewhere on the map, not somewhere with a pin. It wasn't a person being delivered, it was a seat being filled. A ride being completed. A shared trip that needed two bodies to finish, and I was the only one in the car who looked like a body. The voice behind me whispered my name again, warm and patient, almost there. Story 4. 5 stars required. The driver smiled at me in the rearview mirror like we were sharing a private joke. The kind of smile that tries to put you at ease and somehow does the opposite. It was late enough that the city had thinned out, but not so late that it felt abandoned. There were still headlights sliding past at intersections, still people walking in little clusters outside bars, still a sense that help existed somewhere nearby if you needed it. That illusion is dangerous. It makes you underestimate how quickly you can become alone. I'd requested the ride from a quiet street near my friend's apartment. The night air was cold and damp, and my phone screen was the brightest thing in my hand. The car that pulled up was a newer model, dark color, clean enough to look like it had been detailed that day. The license plate matched, the app matched, the driver name matched, everything checked out. I slid into the back seat and shut the door behind me, the click loud in the car's soft ambient hum. The inside smelled like faint cologne and something sweeter underneath, like artificial vanilla. The driver greeted me politely, asked the usual confirmation, and pulled away from the curb. Normal. For the first 10 minutes, it was just a ride. City lights, red brake lights ahead, the faint vibration of road beneath tires. I watched storefronts blur by and let my mind drift. I was tired and looking forward to my own bed, my own locked door. The driver kept the music low, a playlist of slow songs that felt too calm for the hour. He didn't talk much, and I appreciated that. Then my phone buzzed with a notification from the Rideshare app. Reminder, rate your driver after your trip. That wasn't unusual. The apps were always nudging you to do something. Tip, rate, subscribe, confirm. I ignored it. The driver's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror again, and he smiled a little wider. Just a heads up, he said in a warm tone, like he was offering a friendly tip. The system's been weird lately. I glanced up. Weird how? He shrugged, almost casual. It won't let me end the ride unless the rating is completed. I laughed softly. That's not how it works. His smile didn't change. I know, it used to be normal, but now, if I don't get a 5-star rating, it flags me. Flags you, I repeated, still half amused. Reevaluation, he said, like he was quoting something official. They send me to reevaluation. It's a whole thing. Takes hours, sometimes days. I stared at the back of his headrest, trying to decide if this was a joke. His voice stayed light. His hand stayed steady on the wheel. Okay, I said. I'll rate you when we stop. The driver nodded, satisfied, and the conversation died. But something about the way he said it stuck under my skin. It wasn't the request itself. Drivers ask for good ratings all the time. It was the phrasing, the system won't let me end the ride. Like the ride wasn't a simple transaction anymore, but a contract that needed completion. We pulled into my neighborhood around 1:12 a.m. My apartment building sat on a quiet street with old trees and a dim street light that hummed. Most windows were dark. The sidewalks were empty. The air felt colder here, quieter. The driver slowed to the curb and stopped smoothly. Here we are, he said. I reached for the door handle. It didn't move. For a second, my tired brain didn't understand. I pulled again, harder. Nothing. The door was locked. I looked up, pulse kicking. Can you unlock it? The driver kept smiling. Yeah, just one thing first. My stomach tightened. He nodded toward my phone. 5 stars. I stared, heat rising in my face. You're kidding. His smile held. I wish. I tried the other door handle across the seat. Locked. I leaned forward and checked the child lock switch near the window. I couldn't reach it. The front seat angle blocked my hand. The door panel was too close. The lock mechanism was out of reach unless I twisted awkwardly, and even then, my fingers slipped. My breathing changed. The driver watched me in the mirror, calm as a man waiting at a red light. Just rate, he said gently. Then the system lets you out, that's all. I pulled my phone out, fingers cold, and opened the app. The trip screen was still active. No end ride prompt, no complete, just the map and the moving time counter. It shouldn't still be running. He'd already stopped. The app should have been ready to close out. Instead, it displayed a message at the top in neat, neutral font. Trip completion pending. Rating required. My mouth went dry. I scrolled. The rating section was there. The stars waiting. Okay, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Fine. 5 stars. I didn't want conflict. I didn't want to escalate. I wanted the door open. I tapped the 5th star. The moment I did, the app froze. The stars blurred slightly, like the screen was underwater. Then a new message popped up. Confirm rating submission to end trip. Under it, a checkbox. I acknowledge this rating is accurate and final. It was absurd. It was one extra step, but it felt heavier than it should, like a signature line on a legal document. I glanced at the driver. It's asking me to confirm. He nodded, still smiling. Yes. That's new. Just confirm. I hesitated. The feeling in the car changed. Subtle, but immediate. Like the air pressure dropped. Like the interior lights dimmed a fraction. The driver's smile tightened, the warmth fading slightly. Please, he said. My throat tightened. I checked the box. The app spun, then displayed. Rating submitted. Thank you. I exhaled in shaky relief and reached for the door handle again. Still locked. I stared. What? The driver's voice stayed gentle. It takes a second. My phone buzzed. A new message appeared in the app, not from the driver, not from support. It looked like a system notification. Trip completion requires additional feedback. Below it, it said, write a review. Minimum of 20 characters. My stomach dropped. The driver sighed softly, like he'd been expecting this. Yeah, he said. That's part of it. No, I said, voice rising. Unlock the door. I rated you. His eyes met mine in the mirror, and for the first time, the warmth was gone. Can't, he said quietly. Not until it's complete. I stared at the screen, fingers trembling, and typed the first thing that came to mind. Great ride, thanks. I hit submit. The app froze again. Then it displayed another message, neat and calm. Review content insufficient. Please include the following phrase. Enjoyed the ride. I felt a cold flush move through my body. I looked up sharply. What is this? The driver's smile returned, but it looked strained now. Just do it. It's how it works. My phone buzzed again, and I realized the app was not waiting for me politely. It was pulsing, the prompt flashing faintly like a heartbeat. Enjoyed the ride. I didn't want to type that. Not because the words mattered, but because the demand mattered. The sense that I was being forced to say something, forced to declare enjoyment, forced to affirm consent. My skin prickled. I typed it. Enjoyed the ride. Submit. The moment I hit submit, the interior lights flickered once. The locks clicked. I grabbed the door handle and pulled. It opened. Cold air rushed in, smelling like wet asphalt and night trees. Relief hit me so hard it made my eyes sting. I stepped out quickly, bag on my shoulder, and backed away from the car as if it might lunge. The driver nodded politely. Thank you. Have a good night. I turned and hurried toward my building, keys already in hand, heart still pounding. Behind me, the car idled for a moment, then pulled away smoothly. I didn't look back again until I was inside my apartment with the deadbolt thrown. Even then, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I told myself it was just an aggressive driver. A scam. A weird intimidation tactic. But the app hadn't behaved like a normal app. It had demanded specific phrases. It had controlled the locks. And I couldn't stop thinking about that line. The system won't let me end the ride. At 2:03 a.m., my phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I was halfway through a glass of water, still trying to slow my breathing. The notification made my stomach tighten instantly. Your ride has been updated. Updated? I opened the app. My trip history loaded. Tonight's trip showed as completed, except the fare had increased by a lot. It was as if the ride had continued after I got out, the timer running, the distance tracking, the cost climbing. I scrolled the receipt details. Pickup, correct. Drop off, my building. But the route line on the map didn't stop there. It continued. A pale line traced through my neighborhood, looping around my block, then circling my building twice, then stopping directly behind it in the narrow alley where trash bins sat. The final location pin was not on the street. It was behind the building. I felt cold. Then I saw the note under the receipt. Additional stop added. Review verification. My throat tightened. I tried to dispute the charge. The app offered the usual options. Incorrect fare. Unsafe driver. Issue with route. I tapped unsafe driver. A chat window opened. A support agent name appeared. Agent. Maya. My stomach flipped with recognition. The same generic agent name I'd seen before in other situations. The same calm, scripted tone. I typed fast. Driver locked me in until I rated 5 stars. App demanded specific phrase. Now my receipt shows extra stops behind my building. There was a pause. Then the agent replied, "I'm sorry you experienced that. We take safety seriously. I have reviewed your trip and see no irregularities." My fingers went numb. No irregularities? The door wouldn't unlock. We do not have any record of a lock issue. Ratings are optional. I stared at that sentence. Ratings are optional. A lie so clean it almost looked like truth. I typed again. The app forced me to type, "Enjoyed the ride." There was another pause. Then the agent sent, "Thank you for your feedback. Your account has been marked for reevaluation." My blood turned to ice. Reevaluation. The word the driver had used. It wasn't his phrase. It was theirs. My phone buzzed again, as if to underline it. A new notification appeared. Reevaluation in progress. Some features may be unavailable. My screen dimmed slightly. Buttons grayed out. Trip history became unclickable. Help section locked. I tried to close the app. It reopened. I restarted my phone. The app reopened. It sat on my screen like an open eye. Then another notification slid down, calm and polite. "A ride has been scheduled. Pick up in 3 minutes." My stomach dropped. I hadn't ordered anything. I tapped into the trip details. Pickup location, my address. Drop-off location, my address. A loop, a circle. Driver assigned. Profile photo blank. Rating high. ETA counting down. I ran to my window and pulled the curtain aside. The streetlight hummed outside. The road was empty. Then, 3 minutes later, a car pulled up slowly to the curb in front of my building and idled with its lights off. My breath caught. My phone buzzed. "Your driver has arrived." A message arrived instantly. 5 stars required. My hands shook so hard my phone nearly slipped. I hit cancel. A system prompt appeared. Cancellation not available during reevaluation. Under it, a single button. Okay, I backed away from the window, pulse hammering. The car outside didn't honk. It didn't flash lights. It just waited. Patient. Polite. Like it had all night. My phone buzzed again. A new message. "Please come outside to complete reevaluation." I stared at it, throat tight, and realized the shape of the trap. The driver had demanded a rating, a phrase, an acknowledgement. The app had recorded it, used it. It had turned my compliance into a key. Not a key to let me out, a key to let something in. I opened the door chain and checked the peephole, heart pounding. The hallway was empty, but my phone vibrated again, and the message that appeared made my blood go cold. "We can see you at the door." I slammed the chain back in place and locked the deadbolt, hands shaking. Outside, the car engine idled softly, a low purr in the night. Inside, the app glowed bright in my hand, the trip waiting to begin, the same 5 stars hovering like a demand. My eyes flicked down to the trip details again, because I couldn't help it, because fear and curiosity are twins. And there, beneath the driver name, was a line I had never seen before. Passenger status, verified, verified. Like I had signed something, like I had agreed. My phone buzzed one last time, and the message was simple, polite, almost kind. "Enjoy the ride." The exact phrase the app had forced me to type. Except this time, it wasn't asking. It was reminding me. Story 5. The route that only appears after midnight. The first time I saw the route, I thought my phone was glitching. It was 12:18 a.m. when I requested the ride, and the city felt washed out, like someone had dragged a wet cloth over the lights. Street lamps glowed sodium amber on slick pavement. Neon signs bled teal into puddles. The air smelled like cold metal and distant rain. I'd stayed later than I meant to. It wasn't even a party, just a quiet gathering at a friend's apartment with a few people, soft music, and the kind of conversation that gets heavier as the night gets thinner. When I finally stepped outside, the building's front steps were cold under my shoes. My breath fogged in front of my face. I hugged my jacket tighter and opened the Rideshare app with numb fingers. Home. That was all I wanted. A quiet ride, a warm bed, the safety of familiar walls. The app found a driver quickly. Name, rating, car model, plate match. And then, as the map loaded, a small banner appeared at the top of the screen. New faster route available. A little lightning bolt icon. I frowned. Normally it would say traffic heavy or multiple routes. This one felt like a suggestion from someone who already knew what I needed. I didn't tap anything. I just waited, watching the car icon approach. The driver arrived in a dark sedan, clean and modern, headlights sweeping across the curb. The driver glanced back as I got in, gave a quick polite nod, and pulled away. Normal. I looked down at my phone as the route line appeared. For a half second, the map looked ordinary. Street names, intersections, the usual glowing blue line toward my neighborhood. Then the screen flickered. Not like a lag, like a change. The route line shifted. It rerouted itself with smooth confidence, cutting through a part of the city I didn't usually travel through at night. A banner popped again. Faster route applied. I swallowed. Is this route okay? I asked, mostly for my own reassurance. The driver's response was too quick. It's better, he said. Not it's faster, or traffic is bad. Better, like he'd used it before. I stared at the road ahead through the windshield. The city was still there. Buildings, lights, passing cars. But my skin prickled anyway, because something about his tone suggested he wasn't navigating. He was following. The route line on my phone pulsed faintly, mint cyan against the dark grid of streets. As we drove, the app's ETA started acting strange. Instead of minutes, it showed a smooth sliding bar, like a loading screen. Then it blinked and returned to minutes again. 8 minutes. 7 minutes. Then it flickered to something I had never seen. And my stomach tightened. I tapped the ETA as if that would fix it, but it didn't. The top of the screen now read arriving N.A. I turned the phone toward the driver instinctively. Hey, my app says N.A. He didn't look. It does that. My throat went dry. It does that? He nodded once, almost impatient. After midnight. The words hung in the car like a cold draft. After midnight. As if the app followed different rules when the clock crossed a certain threshold. Like the city entered a new mode and only certain people could see it. Streetlights thinned as we moved away from the main avenues. The buildings grew farther apart. The storefronts became shuttered. The sidewalks emptied until there were no pedestrians at all, just the occasional stray cat slipping between parked cars like a shadow. The driver kept his hands steady on the wheel. He didn't hum. He didn't adjust the radio. He didn't seem to check mirrors. He just followed the glowing line. I tried to ground myself in logic. There's always a weird part of town you forget exists until you drive through it. Maps glitch. ETAs bug out. Drivers take shortcuts. Normal. Except the map was changing in a way that made my skin crawl. Street names began to fade. Not all at once, but gradually. Like the text on the screen was being erased. First, the side streets lost their labels. Then the main road did. I blinked and watched the letters smear slightly, then flatten into blankness. The lines remained. The grid remained. But the names were gone. As if the streets didn't want to be called by name. As if naming them made them real. My throat tightened. I looked out the window at an intersection we passed. The physical street sign was there. Green metal under a streetlight. But the letters on it were worn away. Not chipped. Not vandalized. Just blank. Like the sign had never been printed. My breath hitched. I looked at the next sign. Blank too. I leaned forward slightly, peering through the glass, and realized with a cold jolt that every street sign we passed was blank. My fingers clenched around my phone. Why are the street signs blank? I whispered. The driver's jaw tightened. They're not, he said, voice flat. I stared at him. He didn't look at me. He drove like the road was normal, like the signs had names. Like the darkness outside wasn't swallowing the city one block at a time. My phone buzzed. A small notification banner slid down from the top of the app. Route assistance active. Please do not deviate. My stomach turned. Route assistance. Like the app wasn't just showing directions. It was enforcing them. I tried to open the safety menu. The one that lets you share your trip, call support, access emergency. The button was still there, but when I tapped it, nothing happened. I tapped again. Still nothing. The screen stayed locked to the map, to the glowing line, to the car icon that represented us, sliding along it like a bead on a string. The driver spoke quietly, as if reading my panic without seeing it. Don't touch it too much, he said. My voice shook. Why? He swallowed. It notices. The car's interior felt colder, like the heat had been turned down. I rubbed my arms, trying not to look frantic, trying not to disturb anything. Outside, the city had become quieter than it should be. The hum of traffic was gone. The distant sirens were gone. Even the wind sounded muted, as if the air itself was thicker. The road ahead narrowed. Trees began to appear, thin and dark, lining the street like a corridor. "This isn't the way," I said, louder now. The driver's eyes stayed forward. "It is. It's not," I insisted. "Home is the other direction." He exhaled slowly. "It's the way it wants." My skin prickled. "It," I repeated. He didn't respond. We passed a familiar intersection, and my heart leapt. That corner store, that busted streetlight, that graffiti tag I'd seen 100 times in daylight. Relief surged. We're back. We looped around. It's fine. But my app showed we were still on the glowing line, still on the route, still arriving. N.A. The line didn't change. The destination pin didn't get closer. And then I realized something that made my blood run cold. We had passed that same corner store already, 10 minutes ago. The same graffiti tag, the same cracked sidewalk, the same dead payphone. My mouth went dry. "Did we just—" I started. The driver nodded once. "Yeah. Why?" He didn't answer immediately. His hands tightened on the wheel. Then he said, very softly, "It's aligning. Aligning." The word didn't belong in a rideshare conversation. It sounded like something you'd say about machinery, or stars, or rituals. The map line pulsed faintly, mint cyan. The car icon on the screen did something I hadn't noticed before. It wasn't just moving. It was being pulled. Tiny micro adjustments, as if the route was correcting us constantly, keeping us precisely on the line. The app buzzed again. Almost there. I stared at those words. Almost there, but N.A. Almost there, but we were looping. Almost there, but my street signs were blank. The driver spoke again, voice strained. "If it says almost there, don't argue with it." My heart hammered. "What happens if I do?" He swallowed, and for the first time he glanced at the mirror. His eyes met mine, and there was fear in them, raw and exhausted. "It takes longer," he whispered. Then the route line flickered. For a moment, the entire map went dark. No streets, no grid, just black. And the glowing line remained, stretching forward into nothing, a single mint cyan thread cutting into the void. My breath caught. The car's headlights seemed dimmer suddenly, like they were shining into fog that ate light. Outside, the trees thickened, and the buildings disappeared entirely. It felt like we'd driven out of the city and into somewhere that only resembled roads. The driver's phone, mounted near the dash, chimed softly. He didn't look at it, but I saw the reflection of the screen in the windshield for a brief second. It wasn't a normal navigation interface. It was the same dark map, the same glowing line. Like every screen in the car had been recruited. My phone buzzed again, and this time the notification was not subtle. The app displayed a full-screen prompt. "This route is optimized. Do not exit early." Below it was a single button. Agree. My throat tightened. I tried to close it. There was no X. I tried the back gesture. Nothing. The prompt stayed. The agree button pulsed faintly, mint cyan, like it was alive. The driver's voice was low. "Don't press anything." "I can't see the map," I hissed. "That's the point," he said. "What point?" He exhaled shakily. "It wants you to consent without knowing where you're going." My skin went cold. Outside, the road curved, and the headlights revealed something that made my breath stall. A street sign. Finally, a sign with letters. But the letters weren't a street name. They were a phrase, painted cleanly in white on black. Almost there, my stomach dropped. It wasn't the app reassuring me. This city was reflecting it, or the app was projecting it, or we were somewhere that only existed because the app said it did. My phone buzzed again, the prompt still covering the map. Agree. The driver's breathing became shallow. "Don't," he repeated, more desperate now. But then the car slowed. The engine sound softened. The tires rolled onto something different, not asphalt, something smoother, like polished stone. The sensation made my teeth ache. The driver whispered, "It's stopping." The car came to a gentle halt, no sudden brake. No jolt, just a calm stop, like arriving at a destination. The app prompt vanished instantly. The map returned, and my breath caught, because the destination pin was no longer my home. It was a blank pin. No address, no street, just a coordinate-like marker with no numbers. And directly above it, in the place where drop-off should be, the app displayed a single line. Location matches you. My blood went ice cold. The car's doors clicked, locked. The interior lights dimmed slightly. The driver stared forward, hands still on the wheel, knuckles white. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I turned to him. "What?" He swallowed hard. "It picked you." My phone buzzed, and the app sent a message like it was a friendly update. "Drop off complete. Please exit vehicle." I yanked the door handle. It wouldn't move. I tried again. Nothing. The driver whispered, voice cracking. "It won't open until you rate." I felt sick. "Rate?" I whispered. The app screen shifted, and the familiar stars appeared. 5 empty stars waiting. Under them, a message. "Completion required to return you." Return me. Like I had been taken somewhere else. Somewhere that wasn't on the map. Somewhere the app considered temporary. I stared out the window, heart pounding. Outside was darkness and fog, thick enough to hide shape and distance. But there were lights ahead, faint and warm, like porch lamps in the distance. Not street lights, porch lamps. Little warm squares in the black, like houses waiting. A neighborhood without streets. A place that only existed after midnight. My phone buzzed again, and a new line appeared beneath the stars. 5 stars to proceed. The driver's voice was barely audible. "If you don't, it keeps looping." My hand shook. I didn't want to press anything. I didn't want to participate. I didn't want to feed the system that was clearly alive enough to demand agreement. But the alternative was being trapped in a route with no arrival time, no street names, no exit. I tapped 5 stars. The moment my finger hit the screen, the car's interior lights flickered once. Outside, one of the porch lights in the distance turned on, brighter, like something had noticed. My phone buzzed again. "Write a short review?" My throat tightened. "No." The driver whispered, "Please." I stared at the fog, at the porch lights. I imagined doors opening. I imagined the app assigning me a new route, a new driver, a new loop. I typed the first thing that came to mind. "Great ride." The app rejected it instantly. "Review insufficient. Include. Almost there." My stomach dropped. The phrase from the app. The phrase on the street sign. The phrase that felt like a spell. I shook my head, tears burning. The driver's voice cracked. "If you want to go home, you have to say it." I swallowed hard, fingers trembling, and typed it. Almost there. The moment I hit submit, the car unlocked with a soft click. The doors became light in my hands, as if they'd never been locked. The driver exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for hours. "Go," he whispered. I shoved the door open and stumbled out into cold fog. The ground beneath my shoes was smooth and damp, like stone. The air smelled metallic and sweet, like rain on old pipes. Behind me, the car's headlights dimmed, as if embarrassed to exist here. I took 3 steps away, and the fog shifted, revealing a street. My street. The familiar cracked sidewalk. The tree I recognized. The glow of my building's lobby light. I whipped around. The car was still there, but now it was just a normal car at the curb, idling like any other. The driver looked at me through the windshield, eyes hollow. Then he drove away, disappearing into the night. I stood there shaking, phone buzzing in my hand. The app displayed, "Trip completed, thank you." I stumbled inside, locked the door behind me, climbed the stairs, and collapsed on my couch with my heart still galloping. I tried to delete the app. My finger hovered over the icon. Something stopped me. Not logic, not fear exactly. A strange certainty, like I already knew it wouldn't matter. I set the phone down instead and went to wash my hands as if I could scrub the night off my skin. At 12:59 a.m., my phone buzzed again. A new notification from the Rideshare app. New faster route available. I stared at the screen, pulse rising. I hadn't requested a ride. Another buzz. "Your driver has arrived." I walked slowly to the window and pulled the curtain aside. Down on the street, at the curb under the humming streetlight, a dark sedan sat with its headlights off, waiting. And on my phone screen, the map was already loaded, already drawn, already glowing, with a mint cyan line that started exactly where I stood and stretched out into blankness. The ETA read N.A. A final message appeared at the top, neat and calm. Almost there. You have reached the end of tonight's route, the last glowing line on a map that was never meant to guide you safely home. If any moment stayed in your chest, if you felt your stomach tighten at the sound of a notification, if you caught yourself checking the street outside your window, or looking twice at an empty backseat just to make sure it is still empty. Do not let the ride end here. Subscribe to join me for more late night pickups, wrong turns, and the things that use modern systems to get a little too close. Tell me in the comments which ride followed you the longest, and which one felt uncomfortably real, like something you could experience on any normal night with your phone at 1% and your keys shaking in your hand. Like the video so these stories reach others who take the same rides we do, the ones who know the real fear is not the driver, it is the silence after the drop-off, when the app still says your trip is in progress. And if you have your own rideshare story, a pickup that arrived with no car, a driver who knew your name too well, a route that didn't match the streets, a locked door, a voice behind you, or an account that kept booking rides to your home address, you are always welcome to share it. Send your experience to the business email in the channel bio, and it may become part of a future Entity Shadows episode. Thank you for listening, for riding with me through the amber streetlights, the teal reflections in rain-soaked glass, and the quiet moments where technology feels less like a tool and more like a hand on your shoulder. And until next time, keep your back to the wall at pickup. Keep your phone face down when you get inside. And remember, once you press confirm, you are never truly alone in the car. And remember, the dark awaits.